Hi, review of Black Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse. Black Sun is a high fantasy novel set in a pre-contact Americas where magic exists. Rebecca Roanhorse, apparently I'm not going to have a picture for long. Rebecca Roanhorse is an American science fiction fantasy author. She did say at one point that she was of okay, Awinga Pueblo and African American descent. This was disputed when her first novel, Trail of Lightning, came out, which is set on a Navajo reservation, and there was definitely there was kickback on that. Basically, there was said like she had no actual direct contact with the community, and was criticism of the novel for misrepresentation of the Navajo culture. I read the first novel. I enjoyed it. That said, I'm not someone who's from the culture. It did win the 2019 Locust Award for Best First Novel. And I liked it enough that I went on to read Black Sun, but I figured I'd just bring that up at the beginning there, just because this is I think it's just those interesting things of, like, when you're going to use stuff and maybe your marketing department is looking for a good story to tell, as a way to kind of help first, especially a kind of a first time author, kind of rise above the crowd. It can get complicated. It can get complicated, and when you start using other people's cultures that way, they will have a discussion with you. That doesn't mean she's going to get canceled or censored. Indeed, she's come out with this other series, and Trail of Lightning has been followed by another book set in the same world, which I actually haven't read. But yes, let's get on with Black Sun, set in this pre-Columbian world. It's following sort of three kind of general storylines, well, maybe four. Starting off with Serapio, a ritually blinded young man who seems to be kind of pointed for destiny. And throughout the book, we get kind of flashbacks of various kind of trainers, harshly kind of giving, preparing him for his destiny. We meet a Teak captain, Teak being kind of a highly valued for their magic ability of being able to blow up winds and stuff like that, but are also it seems to be strictly a female race of beings, of human beings. And they but they're valued for that, but they're also highly discriminated. And indeed, down on her luck, Teak captain called Giala, I'm going to go with Giala, is kind of she's down on her luck, at which point a lord kind of picks her up and says, "Hey, I've got very special cargo that I need to get across the ocean in like 18 days, really quickly, because this cargo has to get there before convergence." And this convergence will come up again and again, and it turns out that special cargo is a human being, and it is Serapio. The kind of third main storyline all centers around the High Sun Priestess, who's like in the city of Tova, where Serapio and Gila are headed, and it comes to this place, faces assassination attempt, faces a lot of political intrigue going on within her own camp. She seems to be having kind of problems on all sides. Some of it seems to say, oh, the assassins are this Carrion Crow clan, because a generation earlier, the Sun Priestess of that thing carried out basically what sounds like a purge of the Carrion Crow clan for heresy, because of competing ideas of exactly what gods, things like that should be followed. And so there's a lot of political infighting. We also do get a little subplot with one of the Carrion Crow peoples, a warrior guy who's called back because of his mother's apparent death, by natural death or not, So we have all this, and it's all coming together at this convergence, which is sort of this at a kind of satisfying, complex stew of the religious, political, and racial tensions all coming to a head at convergence. So yeah, that's the general general plot of the novel. This is Rebecca Roanhorse. Interestingly enough, in her author's note acknowledgement, says like, this isn't a history book. I am taking pre-Columbian, pre-contact cultures, and I'm mixing and matching. I'm coming up with obviously kind of fantasy powers and this stuff. So she's definitely maybe taken a step back, is a little bit more wary about exactly how she is using native things. It is from my perspective of somebody who's like, you get so much high fantasy stuff which is all set in a European context, in a kind of Tolkien, in the great shadow of Tolkien, that it's satisfying to get like, oh, here is a different world, and there's just that thrill of jumping in and getting having to kind of work things out, because you don't have like, okay, there are the knights, there's the castle, there's the dragons, there's wizards and stuff like this. Like, no, this is a whole new world where we're getting a different kind of a fantasy world. So that was a very kind of satisfaction. That was a very fun and new kind of, it's like, if you're looking for something new, that is definitely what you get in this. The language is, because it's this new world, there's a lot of new language to try and suck up. I listened to this on audiobook, which helped. But which is funny, because I looked at Giala's name, which is it is spelled Xiala, which if I'd been reading that on the page, I probably would have come up with an entirely different pronunciation. But Giala is my best approximation of what my dumb monolingual mind took as what how the narrator was narrating this. So that did help me. For my kind of consumption of the book. It may have been helpful to kind of go back and then kind of be able to kind of read back pages to try and get more of the world in. But I just sort of enjoyed jumping in and getting that. So, but I think Rebecca Roanhorse does a really good job of, she's putting a lot of stuff into this. She does not fall into the trap of a monoculture. This isn't just one culture that we're getting. We are getting, as I said, we've got Serapio, which are there's kind of ritual cultists. We have the Sun Priests. We have the Carrion Crow. We have Giala herself, the Teak culture, which she kind of alludes to. We get the various other, like, she does a good job of making this fictional creation of hers, which is maybe taking historical things to make kind of an satisfyingly complex, but not so complex that me listening to this on audiobook was completely lost. So I really enjoyed that. And also the characters. I really, there's definitely kind of standout characters. The standout character being for me is definitely Giala. She is this kind of, funnily enough, earthy kind of a character, very kind of sensuous character, in that, she's like, I like to drink, I like to have sex with people, but it's not like this is not a kind of a puritanical, coming from kind of a Western kind of like puritanical tradition. She's someone who seems, there's a slight sense of like, she's the most contemporary kind of feeling character in this novel, but she's also maybe the one that I kind of I have much more had much more as most contact with. But I mean, she does a good job of someone like Serapio, who is like the boy of destiny and kind of ritual cultists raising him. They actually stops and gives him a character. Giala and Serapio actually kind of form a relationship that helps you care about this guy as not just sort of some kind of a symbol of a novel. He's like, oh no, he's actually a guy, even though the purpose of what he's going towards could be, you could see him as sort of the suicide bomber of this novel. It's like, well, no, he's an actual human being as well as maybe the suicide bomber of this novel. Maybe slightly on the weaker side, I found the Sun Priestess Narampa to be, maybe it's also because her character is the least in control, it feels, in this novel. Her and her opposite in that storyline, the Carrion Crow warrior, a little less engaging, a little less, maybe we didn't spend as much time with them, but be, it's just they didn't spark as much. So there's always that danger in when you've got kind of multi narratives going on, that you're going to gravitate to certain narratives more than the other. That said, it wasn't like I was groaning. It's like, oh God, when are we going to get back to the fun stuff with Gyalah and stuff like that? It was just slightly a little bit of weakness. So yeah, now this novel is the first in a series, and it does have that, okay, it's like the end of the first Matrix. Is it going to be awesome? But you think, wow, that's great. But you also have that kind of like, oh, will it be the Matrix Reloaded and whatever the hell the other Matrix, the dying off thing. So I really enjoyed this novel. I'm interested to see what happens next in the series. Cautiously optimistic, but sometimes when gods get involved, it can deflate narratives. So I will wait and see, but I will definitely go and see the next novel in this series. So yes, that is Black Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse. Number one. I guess I should start off with that. Number one in the between Earth and Sky, or Sky and Earth series. The most important thing now is that it's one novel that actually has a fairly complete story, while obviously very much being the very beginning of the series going forward. So yes, more videos later.